And we are live. And today I'm going to actually do kind of a combo episode between Whiteboard Wednesday and a Friday recap. Awesome week, some really good things going on. In the process of onboarding a new client, which is really exciting to go through as you look at different ways to go to market with products as they start to change and shift the area that they focus on. More to come down the road. I want to go back to just a basic question, and it's one that tends to come up over and over again. And you get into this challenge around what is sales. We have we have these preconceived notions about sales as being something that is gross or is nasty, and people don't like salespeople. And one of the reasons they don't like salespeople is because of the cheesy smile or the idea that somebody is trying to do something to them, not for them. And Anthony Iannarino, nailed this a number of years ago when he said, sales is something you do for someone, not to someone. So, yet we still have these ideas that we can go out there and we can find this charismatic person who's going to go out there and convince people to do things. And if you think about sales in the context of convincing people, you're doing it wrong. You're doing it wrong. It's not about convincing people. And the word that I like to use is compel. It's about compelling people to take action. And that came up in the conversation that I had with Jen Allen in that podcast episode that went live earlier this week. It actually went live yesterday. If you've not checked it out or you're not familiar with Jen, make sure you do so. So, what is sales? What is sales? What is sales? Well, if you've been following me long enough or have had conversations, you know that when I think of the definition of sales, I think about connecting the dots between a problem, one dot, and a solution. So we're connecting the dots between a problem and a solution. Seems pretty simple. One of the challenges we run into is when we look at this and we think about where a line goes as inside organizations, we think about our solution more than we think about the problem. So the gravitation is, let's go ahead and take this line and push it toward the customer so that we just keep talking about our solution. We talk about our solution. And if we talk about our solution enough, we're going to go ahead and get to the root of a problem. We're going to find a problem. This is the whole, I've got a hammer, I'm going to run around and go out and see if I can find a bunch of nails kind of thing. Well, if we shift this perspective and we say, how do we look at this from the lens of the customer? How's the customer thinking about it? The customer, they're putting more weight toward the problem, right? Like, this is more important to them, is the speed between the problem. They've got so much more that they're worrying about as it relates to the problem. So it starts to become this tug of war between two organizations. We have solutions with hammers. We want to go out there and find nails. So we go out there and we just start beating away at things. If we think about it in the context of some of these problems are known, this is going to be a little bit of Rumsfeld here, some of them are unknown, then we can start to say, okay, in the engagement that I have with my customer, is the problem that they're experiencing known? Is it acute? Is it something that there's a lot of pain around right now? Or is it something that they may not be aware of? They may not actually know. They haven't had an experience that helps them indicate that the problem exists. So is the problem known or unknown? On the other side, is our solution known or unknown? So if we've got an unknown solution out in the marketplace, a early stage company, and we're solving a problem that customers aren't thinking about, talking about every day, we have this huge chasm that we've got to work through. to be able to connect the dots between a problem that's unknown and a solution that's unknown. So how does the journey look? So if we agree, sales is about connecting the dots between a problem and a solution. So it's problem solving at its core. Problem solving at its core. We've got to define the problem, right? So problem solving at its core. Then we're looking at people, organizations who don't know that they have a problem. So unknown problem. We need to be able to create scenarios where that problem bridges from being unknown to known, right? So how do we bridge that gap? How do we cross that gap? Well, many times what will end up happening is we'll do this through in the context of marketing. So we'll put a lot of content marketing out there. We'll put some data out there. We'll put some videos out there, and we will educate the market on problems that they may kind of have deeply buried inside their gut that hasn't yet been revealed. And if we do this from a sales perspective, it usually comes out in the context of asking questions. So we get into things like discovery. And when we're in discovery and we ask questions that have insight, that demonstrate some level of credibility, demonstrate that we understand the market that we're working with, then we can get ourselves into a situation where now we can shift. One, we build up trust, and we can shift from a unknown problem on the customer side. Remember, this is about people inside organizations that maybe didn't know that they had a problem, to now, hey, I know that I've got a problem, and I'm sad, I'm disappointed by it. Well, once we know that the problem has been identified and we have clarity around what it is and we have a definition there, then we can move into, remember, do your root cause analysis, get into your 5 whys, channel your inner 2-year-old, get into the 5 whys, go deep on this. Once we understand the pain, the implication of not solving, then we can, and you get into some of the Rackman stuff. If we understand that, then we can start to say, okay, the customer might be ready for a view of what the future state looks like where they solve the problem. So now we get to happy customers. Okay, so we go from ambivalent to sad to interested to happy, right? And we're really just trying to simplify. We're connecting dots between problems and solutions. Some of the problems are known, some of them are unknown, some of the solutions are known, some of them are unknown. And we're going through this process of discovery here to validate understanding of a problem. Now we get into, let's talk about capabilities and solution and imagining a vision of the world, the future where your unknowns become known and those knowns are then solved. So unknowns become knowns and the knowns are solved. So now we don't have problems anymore. We've solved for all the problems and we can move on to the next thing. This is how I would define sales at a base level. It's connecting the dots between a problem and a solution. It's problem solving at its core. Some of those problems are known, some of them are unknown. Some solutions are known, some are unknown. Our job as professionals who help people solve problems is to accelerate speed to impact, speed to solution, not create delays, artificially create delays. And the only way that we can do that is if we truly understand the problem from the perspective of the customer. We've got to be able to see things through their eyes, and we get into things like empathy. Anyhow, that was a very long definition of what is sales, but I hope it started to shift some perspective around how you're thinking about sales inside your organization. Sales is a good thing. We don't have to think of it as a bad thing. Like, this is about, it's about helping others. It's about helping people solve problems, not creating them, actually solving them. It's a good thing. This is a servant-driven profession if you do it right. And that's one of the reasons I am so excited about being in the profession. It's actually helping people solve problems, not creating them, revealing them, not creating them, revealing them. All right. So how does this translate to success? How does it translate to success? Well, you notice up here at the top, we don't really have sales up here. We talk about it in the context of sales, because if we were looking at success inside an organization, now we've got a customer who's actually working with us, someone who is engaged with us. They've decided to move forward with us. Well, how do we make them successful? Well, we accelerate, again, that speed to impact. We accelerate how quickly we can get from the problem to the solution. This is where success comes in. It's still the same kind of thing. It's just a different perspective that we're taking, because now at this point in time, the problems are known, the solution is known. Now we need to be able to create a path. And that path might meander a little bit. It might be some obstacles that we go over. It might be a straight line. It all just kind of depends on how transactional the thing is that you're working on. But we want to go from sad because I've got a problem to somewhat excited because I think I can fix the problem to I'm actually solved the problem and I'm going to shout from the rooftops. So success starts to bring in a lot of the same pieces. We're doing problem solving. We're doing more planning. We're doing more project management. We're doing more implementation. We're leveraging the tools that are available because now the customer is part of our ecosystem. And I think one of the things that is on my mind lately, and is just kind of driving me a bit nuts here, are some of the words that are being used. And Jen Abel posted something like this on Twitter a little bit earlier today about how we put different words out there because we want to avoid the word sales. I don't know any salesperson who has ever sold that's happened. I don't know of any salespeople though, who have sold a deal and have done it the right way, where they didn't want their customer to be successful, where they're just trying to pitch something. Like when you go out there and you buy a burger at In-N-Out, the In-N-Out wants you to enjoy the burger. They want you to have a good experience. When you buy software from a company like Outreach or Degreed or HubSpot or any of these organizations, they want you to have a successful experience. They want you to move from I'm not super happy to now I'm really happy and I'm going to tell a lot of people, because if they tell a lot of people, then more people are going to become aware of the problems that you solve for. Those problems, the unknown problems, will become known, and the solution is going to be there, and it's going to help accelerate a lot of this. It's going to enable success. So I don't think there's a significant difference between an account executive, an account manager, customer success manager. I think we've put a lot of these labels on there because in some instances we want to market and open and expand new horizons. In other instances, we understand the value of specialization. Just because you name something inside your organization doesn't mean that you embody that capability. Just because you name something inside your organization doesn't mean that it's become part of your culture, that it's part of what you deliver. It may look good on a business card, or look good on a signature line, or look good on a LinkedIn post, but it doesn't mean that that's part of your culture, right? So in order to drive culture and leadership, we have to have things like, operating systems, ways that we work. We need to have, in order to, the operating systems can help us with decision making. They can help us with staying focused. They can help us with execution. These operating systems, when you start to get into it, you can start to look at. Cliff and I had a conversation earlier today for a podcast that I'll push live in a number of weeks, but you get into things like RevOps. So what is your revenue operating system inside your organization that helps drive a lot of this, helps support it? Because remember, we've got things like marketing, we've got things like sales, so initial customer acquisition, and then we have things like success. So this gets into growth. we label each of these things so that we have so that we know that we can put the right people in the right place at the right time, working with the right organizations to help drive a desired outcome. Organizations will start with a level will be generalist, and then over time they will specialize. As they specialize, they'll figure out what level of specialization do we need based on, you could take this same model and apply inside your organization based on the problem we need to solve. What's the problem we need to solve? Who's impacted? Who's affected? Who cares about them? Why is it important for us to solve? Mike Hook added a comment on it. Why is it important to solve now in that post earlier today? Right. As we look at this, let's not get so hung up on these biases that we have when it comes to naming certain things. Let's get back to the core of what the capability is and what the functional expertise is, and then determine, does it make sense to specialize or not? To bring things back and simplify, sales, success, it's about connecting the dots between problems and solutions and doing what we can to help accelerate speed to impact in connecting those dots. If the problem is unknown, there's going to be a little bit of work you got to do. If the solution is unknown, there's going to be a little bit more work that you've got to do. If the problem is known and the solution is known, then there's going to be a little bit less work. And as you go through, you should be able to design systems to help you execute. I hope this conversation was helpful for folks. Went pretty deep on the definitions. I don't think there's a major difference between sales and success. I think we get hung up on these differences. I do think that there are different stages in an organization based on the emotion that you're using to go to market and where you want to bring these people in. But functionally, if you've built a business based on the idea of helping your customer execute on doing the thing that they're struggling with doing, then it doesn't matter what you call the individual roles. It's that you embody the capability and go out there and execute. And if naming them something different helps to clarify where that execution happens, then really good. I've got one more piece that I want to get into, and it relates to the whole. Actually, we'll do that on Monday. We'll get into some of the revenue engine stuff. But if you want to see a session that I did around building a revenue engine, check out the video I recorded with Growth Match, and I'll include a link in the comments below. Hope you are having an awesome Friday. Hope you got some value out of this conversation. Hope it helped you think a little bit differently about sales and kind of demystify the idea of, hey, why sales doesn't have to be a cringeworthy thing. It's good. Like, we get to serve people. We should be excited. We get to help people. We get to enable people. We get to enable organizations. We're in an amazing profession, and the lines between product and marketing and sales and operations and organizations are starting to blur because it's necessary. Because as you pull these things together, we start to operate in an ecosystem that will help you do more of what you want to do with your customers. And this is where I get into the discussion between revenue enablement, which is a lot of this, and then shifting into organization enablement, which is what I think the next phase is that we're going to be getting into. So have a great Friday. Thanks for listening in. I will watch for the comments and look forward to engaging with you. Have an awesome